welcome back to High Tech. Thanks for joining us. With here in studio now, we have Carla Pereira, who is the Manager of Communication at the PDSB, and we'll be talking to her about social media.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, Carla.
Thanks for coming.
Hi.
So the first question I want to ask you is, how did the Peel District School Board decide that they want to engage with students on the social media level?
Okay, so there's a team of us who manage all of the board's social media accounts, and really the engagement piece with students started last year on a snow day. So we would have used Twitter in particular as a one-way communication tool for us. So sending out messages about what was happening in the board, communicating mainly with parents and media.
Okay.
But that snow day changed everything for us. So it really became an opportunity to show students a bit of a personality of the Peel District School Board, to demonstrate more of a connection. So you know, we're not going to ignore our students online. We have 153,000 of them, and they're one of our most important audiences. They're who really, at the end of the day, everything we do impacts kids. So from our perspective, the student engagement piece is huge. And out of all of our followers, I would say about 80% are students, which for us is amazing.
Definitely.
So we've observed the tweets, and we're students in the Peel District School Board,
Right.
and we've seen the tweets coming on snow days. People are excited to know, is there going to be a snow day? Are buses going to be canceled? And with that, students sometimes, you know, with high hopes, they sometimes come crashing down, and tweets can sometimes get a bit out of hand. We observe these unruly tweets, and how does the Peel District School Board handle those tweets coming towards them?
Okay, so we would view tweets on a spectrum from students, and not just students, parents and staff, you know, can be equally as frustrated on a snow day again, for example. So we would view them on a spectrum. So there's certainly, you know, a frustrated tweet. Then there is a really frustrated tweet, and then there's a mean tweet. And when we get into mean tweet category or the area of a mean tweet, what we see is really abusive language, threatening language, some of that kind of stuff. So we always go back to, if a student said that, or if someone said that to you in a hallway or in your classroom, would you just ignore it?
Right. Yeah.
If the answer is no, then we don't ignore it either. And in some cases, they can be potentially criminal. Not, you know, the thing is, sometimes students say things as a joke, like I'm going to burn the school down, as an example, or something like that, which is intended completely as a joke. But will it get you a visit from a police officer? There's a good chance. So you want to make sure that your language online is appropriate and positive always.
So what are the social media guidelines that you have in place for students to follow in the Peel District School Board, and what do you recommend for students to do, especially on snow days or any other day when they're tweeting the Peel District School Board, just for information?
Right. And again, I'm going to broaden it outside of just students, right? So we have these expectations of everyone, really. So for us, being a good digital citizen means being a good citizen. Period. So it's about being a caring human, a kind human, a respectful human. And so our social media guidelines that are posted on our Facebook page, so the board also has a Facebook page, would clearly indicate that if the comments are harassing, or if they've identified a teacher by name or a staff person by name, and they're just, you know, they're defamatory in nature, that those would come off. We would remove those immediately. Twitter is a different beast, right? So once you tweet something, it's out there for the world to see. So the board does have a digital citizenship policy that guides the use of, or how people communicate online, not just to the board account, but just to each other as well.
So we've talked a bit about tweets and what's in the tweets, and you know, just interaction between the board, students, teachers, etc.
Right.
Now, overall, I feel like the landscape of the educational environment is coming outside of the classroom to a significant degree, where teachers are proud of their students' accomplishments, schools are showcasing. Just recently, I saw my elementary school, which I never knew they had a Twitter account, but they had one, and I saw it, and I was so happy to see my elementary school has a Twitter account. So how's the Peel Board in general seeing their social media outlets affecting the landscape of education?
So we run, as a system, we run a number of Twitter workshops for staff. And so increasingly, we started off by hosting one in the fall and crossing our fingers that people would show up, and they did in large numbers. And we've had 6 since then. So does that mean our staff are excited to share the positive things that are happening in their classroom? Yes, which for us is fabulous. I always say, because of my role in the board, that I want to know what great things are happening so that I can promote them to the news media, because that's my job, right? To help promote the the board's reputation and to share the great news that
Comes
in
out,
the
yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Exactly. So for us, for me in particular, and for many of our parents, what Twitter does is it opens up a window into the classroom that was never there before.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you can take a sneak peek. So as a kindergarten parent, I can see what my child is doing throughout the day. When a kindergarten parent or a kindergarten child typically comes home and you ask them, "What did you do at school today?" The answer is, "I don't know." And so now there's a level of accountability that there's transparency. You can see what's happening. And an example from today, for example, is Peel. We've created a hashtag called hashtag Peel Olympic Spirit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we use a hashtag Peel Proud all the time. And when we use that, what we're doing is sharing the great things that are happening in Peel.
It's fantastic.
So you said students as well as parents and teachers can use Interact. So if for the parents who are watching our show, how would they get in contact with an administrator in the Peel board, or simply they want to tweet? How would they go about doing so?
So if they wanted to ask a question of the
Yeah.
Peel board via Twitter, let's say.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just mentioning us on Twitter. So
Mention.
if you mention the Peel District School Board, if you include @Peel Schools in your tweet,
Right.
there's a good chance you're going to get a response.
So you guys do try to reply to most
To
of
almost everything, right? So the difficulty comes in when it's a snow day, for example, or something where there's a lot of when the website last year went down and kids were trying to get on Angel and all those things, and the system was crashing. So when there's high traffic, it's almost impossible because we have 24,000 followers and
Wow.
there's a lot of tweets.
Yeah.
But on any given day, the idea is that we respond to everyone
That's great.
who has a respectful question, right?
Now, there is you might have noticed online on Twitter, there is a concern of a parody Peel District School Board account.
Right.
What's your view on that, and how is the Peel Board taking a stance against people trying to clone their identity, essentially?
Right. So if you've noticed in the past maybe week and a half, the board has received a pretty blue check mark, which means we're now verified. So
Okay.
that's that's resulted in.
That's great.
I think we're the first school board in the country that's been verified.
Wow.
So that's
Wow.
that's pretty big deal
amazing.
for us. I know we're
That's
really excited. But the parody accounts pose a problem for us because number one, they're using a trademarked logo, which they don't have permission to use, and so they could get into some serious trouble. The other thing is, because their handles have been created that look almost identical. Well, they look pretty much identical.
Yeah,
to
like
the
an
Peel Board
extra
account.
letter or something.
Exactly. That what happens is, if there is a serious incident that we're trying to communicate, and there are those parody accounts that are out there, they can really jeopardize student safety and staff safety. And so they're not a joke, right?
Definitely.
And so we've worked with Twitter to shut those down. A couple of them. There's another one out there now that we know is out there, and we're trying to shut that one down too. So we're on top of it. We're monitoring the parody accounts. But the thing we always say to people is, please look for the blue check mark.
That's great that it's
Right.
verified. I mean, that's a huge step. I didn't
Yeah.
notice yet that
Yeah.
it has the blue check mark, but
Yeah.
I think
thing.
that's huge that you have the check mark. Plus, you're working with Twitter to get those
Yeah.
things
Right,
closed
and
as well.
always we try to say, if what you're seeing on the Twitter account looks like it's abusing students, like we
Right.
would never do that. We would never, insult a
Yeah.
student online. And if that's what you're seeing, chances are it's not us. So look for the pretty blue check mark for sure.
Because I was pretty surprised when I saw a couple of tweets from the parody account, and they were using pretty derogatory language. And I was surprised that they had the PDSB handle on it.
Yeah.
Until I found out that was actually a parody account, and it looked fairly genuine.
It looks the same, right?
Now, we've talked a lot about Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Is Twitter the only or the main social media outlet that the Peel Board is using, or are you considering new ones or using other ones?
We use Facebook in addition to, so we use Facebook very differently. So we use Twitter mainly as a means of communicating with news media and with our student population. So not all students, because the younger ones aren't on Twitter, but middle school and secondary for sure. If I ever want to get a message out to secondary, you hashtag PeelFam, and you guys do
Everyone
magic.
knows.
Yeah,
Wow.
we call it Peel Army. Our team calls it Peel Army, so it's great. But if there is parent communication that's needed, then we post it mainly on Facebook because that's where our parents are. They're comfortable. They're more comfortable in that space.
In that Facebook feed. Now, there's also new social networks, Pinterest, Instagram.
Right.
There's YouTube. It just could be considered as another network. Is the Peel Board considering using those outlets? Seeing as it was so successful with Twitter,
Right.
are they exploring possibilities of that, or maybe that's something in the future may be considered?
Right. So we do actually. I should have mentioned we do have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
It's Peel Schools. So that's easy. There are a number of videos on there that showcase all of the amazing things happening in Peel. So that's one option.
Great.
Instagram isn't something we're exploring right now. We're kind of taking a sit back and wait kind of approach because
Okay.
it's a medium that, pictures are great, but we'd also like to tell a story.
Okay.
So Twitter is easier because you can link to an outside page.
Right.
And then really that's about probably where we're good for now, but
Right.
not to say that we wouldn't
Future
explore other
events
So in the
things.
future, you would like to
Right,
expand.
right.
Now, one question that I think will appeal to a wider range of viewers. Let's say we have viewers who don't have kids in the school board or
Right.
are not involved in the school board. I see how Peel's using their Twitter account, and I feel it's a great way of how an organization can promote their business and expand their business on the internet space.
Right.
Through Twitter. I mean, a lot of people use Twitter for personal, and then you have celebrities, and it's a lot of personal things. But what kind of things is the Peel Board doing? Do you have, I know some companies will tweet special offers, some companies do specific things.
Right.
How's the Peel Board, or what tips do you have for using Twitter as a good media outlet for an organization?
Okay, so our good social media practice, so sound, good, your best practice is always two-way engagement. So not just pushing out information on Twitter, but interacting with your users, right? So with your followers, because if you repeatedly tweeted at Air Canada and didn't get a response, you would get increasingly frustrated. Right. So two-way communication is key. The other thing is showing your personality. So we always say on our team that what other organization could be fun besides the school board? So why can't you have a little bit of fun, right? Maybe the circus. But outside of the circus and a school board, it's an opportunity for us to connect with students like we never have. And so we'll continue to do it. And that really is the way, if you noticed, pizza companies, Oreo, some of they have a personality.
Trying to interact with with their followers on a very personal
and
level.
be funny and humorous and take a more lighthearted approach.
We don't have that much time left, but in the few seconds that we do have left, looking forward, what advice can you give to students, parents, and teachers about using Twitter or social media online, just in general? What are your, looking forward, what's your advice?
So I think one of the hashtags that we use at the board is show your best self, right? So we have to, parents and students and staff and educators have to understand that employers and college recruiters and university recruiters are going to start looking at students' digital footprint online and their Twitter accounts before accepting them or hiring them. And so, it's all of us in this together to try to make people understand that your online digital footprint needs to be positive. And if it isn't, start changing it today, because it really will have an impact on your future success.
That's fantastic.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Carla. We really enjoyed having you here today.
Thanks.
And thank you for teaching our audience about putting a positive foot forward online.
Great.
Stay with us, and we'll be coming up with the App of the Week next.